I'm a super greedy person. I walk into my kitchen and I don't know, people would think I'm silly, but I walk into my kitchen, but for 3-4 seconds, I already imagine my table is filled with dispatches.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Bake Better Show with me, your host, Tulja Sharma. In today's episode, we are going to take you through the journey of a pastry chef from Delhi, classically trained in French pastry from Le Cordon Bleu, Paris. Her concept is very Gallic and chic as she tries to bring the concept of modern patisserie in Delhi with amazing ingredients and authentic French recipes. She is the founder and head chef of Tuileries Patisserie, Kamal Arora. Hi Kamal, welcome to the show. First of all, thank you for doing this episode on such a short notice.
Thank you, Tulja. Thank you for having me. I'm equally excited to be here today.
Yay! Well, I have heard a lot of things about you and your work, and I was really excited to get you on our show. Thanks for making this process a smooth one for me. And now that you're here, I can't wait to learn more about you and your journey.
Okay, me too. I'm super excited to share it and using your medium to inspire people and probably share my journey with them.
Yep. So when I first learned about your patisserie, I was very intrigued by its name. What's the story behind it?
Okay, so Tuileries Patisserie. While my internship days in Paris, my employer did not have a place for us to lunch because, rents are super high in Paris. So we had a very small kitchen and production area. So during my lunch break, I did not want to eat under a tree or go here and there. I would literally walk to the garden, which is Tuileries garden, Jardin des Tuileries, which was hardly 300 meters away. And every day I would eat my food there, look up to the sky, to green and pink trees and birds chirping, tourists here, here and there. And it just inspired me. I knew that this is it. This is a beautiful name and probably unique. There is no other Tuileries Patisserie in the world,
Oh, yeah.
So I was super happy. Once I came back to Delhi, when we were discussing, when I was finalizing on the names, I just knew that it has to be this because I have so many beautiful memories with this garden. So that's why if you see our products, we generally have a floral element or a fresh element. Even our packaging is green in color because it all goes back to the garden.
Right. I find this story very romantic.
So Parisian.
Yeah. So you did your diploma in French pastry from Le Cordon Bleu, Paris. How was your experience there?
Okay, so going to Paris was the bravest decision I would say I have taken. And just talking about Le Cordon Bleu, it's a very systematic school. It's a very professional school. Every second of or every minute, the chef who is giving us the lecture or giving our demonstration who is there, he's so prepared. Every minute is value for money. So it's an experience. The course that I did a diploma in patisserie. It is divided into 3 parts: basic, intermediate, superior. Basic was basic, superior was superior, and the quality is because it's one of the best school in the world. So if you're spending that kind of money, it's actually worth it.
Right. So if you have no knowledge about baking or you just have an interest in baking, can you go to Le Cordon Bleu or you need to have a prior knowledge or a basic knowledge?
See, if personally my decision to go to, such a big decision to go to a culinary school was, I always was fascinated with the amazing trends that are happening in pastries. And when I would, open YouTube or something, I would see that, people end up just making basic sponges and basic frosting. I didn't want to make brownies or, sorry, it's just my personal experience I'm talking about. Yeah. So I always thought, there is so much technical that is there to learn. There is so much techniques, advanced things happening around in the pastry arena. Why restrict yourself to making, just basic frosting, sponges, cheesecakes, which is, like so basic.
Right.
So I started to look for schools, and I did debate, like whether I should go to like a school in London or Australia or in Paris. Considering language is an issue. But then I thought, like if you have to learn French pastry, you should go to France, nowhere
Right,
else. So Le Cordon Bleu Paris happened, and that is till date, I think, the biggest risk or the best decision I've taken.
Right. Some of our listeners would be, aspiring to go to Le Cordon Bleu Paris or maybe some other branch.
Yeah.
So can you give them some tips on how to get in there and how much budget should they allocate if they are planning to study there?
See, if you're planning to study to any culinary school abroad, it comes at a good cost. So, you should be talk to your parents or think about the funding. But like exact figure or exact cost, look up to the website because it's very dynamic. Euro changes and, the type of course you're doing, that changes. So course fees is like very subjective. Jo bhi jisko karna hai, they can look up into it. But the cost of living is high in this country. So, like already a heads up, if you are there, easily 80,000 to 1 lakh rupee a month you need
Right.
for your accommodation and basic living. This does not include your partying or traveling.
So how long is the average course?
See, again, depends upon the course that you go for. Around 6 months or 9 months is any course you go for, like a proper diploma, but there are short courses also available.
Okay. And
So-
are there any scholarships available?
See, again, you have to
Google
see
that.
the
Okay.
website. But
Right.
I am sure that there are some scholarships, but it's not that easy to get because
Right.
like it's really fought for.
Mhm.
But like if your funds are allowing you, if your parents are allowing you, if timing is by your side,
Right.
do an international exposure really is a thing, I would say, because it really gives you an edge once you plan to come back to your own city where things are not as chic or developed already.
Right.
So it will automatically give you a edge. Matlab, it will not pay you off like in first year of business or 2 years of business, but it will give you an edge eventually in 4 years, 5 years. It will like wear off. You'll definitely get, if you're running the business properly. I think you can recover that money if you talk about just the finance part of it.
Right. Plus, you can also bring in some new trends, and I mean, there's so much that you
So-
learn going outside, and then bringing back those things
Definitely,
and your
definitely.
experience in your own
Yes.
country. Right. You also interned under two of the best pastry boutiques in Paris, Gerard Muller and Sebastian Godard. How did you land that internship, and what were the key takeaways from there?
See, Paris for me, like Paris is shown as a very romantic city and
Yeah.
all of that. But honestly, because I stayed there for 2 years and most of them were working, school and jobs, I don't think Paris is a very romantic city because it's, too much labor for me. Now
Okay.
coming to how I got these internship, honestly, every morning or every day after school, I would take a couple of 50 copies or 20 copies of my CVs, literally walk to
Oh.
every boutique, ask them in French that if they have any, availability, will they take me? Some people would throw my CV on my face.
Oh,
And sometimes I would get a call back and something like that. So, I would literally go to every shop in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening whenever I would have time and look around for jobs. And then eventually I got to work at Gerard Muller, which is around 80 years old pastry boutique in Paris, a very beautiful one. Mr. Muller had retired, but the other chef who was heading there was super kind to me, like took me as his special project, gave me
Oh, wow.
like 100, 200 eclairs every day to, fill and polish and put it on display. So I had a good experience working there. At Sebastian
Wow.
Godard also, same, like I got it, like I approached them and I got my internship. It was a intensive one, but then I learned a lot at both the boutiques. Later, I found myself a job at another big firm in Paris at Rochelle Patisserie, where I worked longest, and I got my work visa through them, and it was like a good experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So eventually your hard work paid you off.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun because, like, initially when I mentioned that cost of living is so high, but
Right.
then, you know, when you get jobs, you are able to get some work there, you know, things get better. You don't have to rely so much for funds to come from your family because, you know, unlike India, the laws are good there. You get paid for overtime, your weekends, your extra hours. So it was not so bad then because I was already working with my course and I had a job. So I could travel. I
Right.
traveled a lot till, you know, like I could every weekend I would go to another city.
Yeah.
And things get better if you work, you know, like, so, but sometimes people take it as a holiday. If you don't take it as a holiday, if you're super serious about, you know, like this profession that you've chosen and you are working towards it, things get better and opportunities also come if you're putting effort in that direction.
Right, right. Career shifts are never easy. You were initially working in an auditing company and later left it to follow your passion in baking. How easy or tough was that transition for you?
Okay. So, why such a technical course or why such a big step? It's because I was never happy with the state of baking in our country or in city. I knew that people put bad products and, you know, do so much basic things that they do. So for me, I always thought that, you know, you can do something more better, bring something better, and that can only come if you are technically sound, you have proper skills. I am a commerce graduate. I did my BCom honors from Jesus and Mary, Delhi. Then I worked at Deloitte and Touche for some time for as an external auditor. But then I knew that the day I leave the job, I don't have any skills. So was I was really determined that I really need to have a proper skill set to do something in my life, have a livelihood, and I decided to like properly train myself in a proper school, learn the right techniques, and probably see where the life goes. Like taking this decision was, you know, like it. You know, your parents need to be by your side. Your finances have to be in your side. Your timing has to be right. Somehow it worked for me, and then you know, like I'm happy that I went there, and it's till date I would say the best decision I took in my life.
So your parents were always supportive of your decision?
No, like I think I come from a business family, so like if you tell your parents that you want to become a chef, it is not, you know, they don't get it. But I till date say that you know, like I had to like work. We figured out. I told them this will be my entire goal. Like I'll study, come back, probably have something of my own one day. So it somehow, you know, things were falling into places. I left and came back too, which my parents were super worried. They thought I'll not return, probably settle there. But no, it didn't happen. So it worked out.
Great, great. You came back in Delhi in 2019 and started what we all know as Tuileries Patisserie. Did you face any challenge while just getting started?
Okay, so I would say that culinary schools can make you chefs, but they don't teach you how to become an entrepreneur.
Right,
So I came back in middle 2018 actually. I worked at a hotel here in Delhi at Oberoi and worked there as I was the chef in the pastry shop. Every 5-star has a pastry shop. I worked there for some time to understand what, you know, like Indian or what Delhi taste buds are like, what ingredients people are used to here, because in Paris everything was super convenient, best of the whipping cream, best of the chocolate, best of equipment.
Right.
So I worked here and I understood what is the taste like in Delhi. Now when I look back, it seems very strategic, but things were happening probably for Tuileries. I always feel that Tuileries has its own kismat. So jo ho raha hai, usi ke liye ho raha hai. And so I worked and I started Tuileries. And going back to your question, initial challenges.
Right.
See, initial challenges I had because, I did not want to compromise on the things I've already learned and take a shortcut because it's not available in Delhi or people are not used to it. So, initial challenge was to have the proper setup. So, like the cloud kitchen that we have set up for Tuileries is very professional. We have a Italian oven. We have mixers from Taiwan. We have freezers from Japan. My equipments and my molds till date fly from Paris. I don't buy them from Delhi because I don't There are people in Delhi selling, but I still feel that things should be very authentic and original. I'm very quality conscious that wise.
Yeah.
And even the ingredients. Like the chocolate is Belgian and things that we use, we really try to source the best ingredients and best equipment so that there is no compromise in terms of final product and quality.
Right.
That is what the entire vision behind the brand is, bring something to the people that they have not eaten, give them an experience. So that is what we are. But then to reach here, yes, if you're setting up a business in Delhi, you have to get Bijli license, you have to get MCD license, you have to get fire
Food
license
also.
Food license, you have to have your GST in place, you have to, all of these documentation and paperwork. As a chef, I was like, let's start. But then it took me 7-8 months to just to start taking our first order before all of our these paperwork are sorted and we had a proper place to start. We had proper equipments to start. And, because I did not want to just take a small oven and start making brownies. So I wanted to...
You had imagined a whole vision, how you had planned everything.
Exactly. I would say things were super planned on in mind, in paper, and then, then the weight of it, how, you're anticipating everything to be perfect. So I gave a lot of time to the setup and the things behind it. And that's it. So, it's, you have to see, you are thinking of something small or you see something big. If I close my eyes every night, I just imagine map of Delhi and I see at least 10 Tuileries. So that's my vision in probably 5 years from now. And it's a realistic one. I know I'll get there.
Yeah.
So initially I was really determined that we will have a proper setup and I'm not going to take shortcuts and start doing things. So that was my initial thing. But then once we had a sound professional environment to get started, we were ready to go. So it took us 6 to 7 months to set things up just to take our first orders.
Oh, okay. So I was actually about to ask you if Tuileries is a cloud kitchen or do you have a physical location where people can come and dine in?
So probably unfortunately, we started just 3 months before COVID happened.
Oh God, what a bad time.
I know. So we had our studio set up, and the next logical step in 2020 was to have a display somewhere at a nice location in Delhi. But COVID happened and things started to slow down. So we thought, initially for some time till the time, things are not really back to normal, we'll work on our delivery network and takeaways and pickups, etc. But we do plan to have a proper sitting cafe, probably 2021 or sometime soon once things are getting better. But right now we are a cloud kitchen.
Okay.
We are a cloud kitchen.
Okay, so talking about COVID, how did you survive that time? You were just 3 months old when you started. So how did you survive it?
3.5 months old. So actually, when a lot of places were shutting down and there was a nationwide lockdown, fortunately, because I was the only one running the business, there were little to no restrictions to if you're really alone and handling things by yourself, and it's a home kitchen and working on takeaways.
Right.
We were. I never had a day off in COVID. I was never sitting.
Oh, so you were getting orders during COVID
so
also?
many orders. You have no idea.
Oh my God.
So
okay,
I
that's
think
wonderful.
we started in December 2019, and when COVID happened, March, I think last year, exactly a year ago. March, April was so busy for me. I would pray for 10 p.m. to happen because that was my closing hour. Because my phone was constantly buzzing with, everybody wanted to celebrate. There were no open bakeries. So, like, in a way, we could, Instagram was the only medium that I had to promote my things. It was like all eyes on us because we were working. Zomato was another medium how we were selling things because we were open at that time. So it got us so much attention that within couple of months I could achieve the kind of eyeballs that I did not know. Like probably on any normal given scenario it would have taken us longer, but I don't know. This somehow was like good for someone who is working alone because then people don't have that health issues of staff coming in, coming out, and outside interaction. And I was like literally quarantined in my cloud kitchen, sending cakes out.
So lockdown actually worked in favor of you.
Yeah, the shop did not happen. At least we could make a brand online. So
yeah. So if I had to place an order in Tuileries Patisserie now, how would I do it?
See, right now things are quite systematic. We have a dedicated phone number where you can just call and ask for the menu. We do have an online ordering portal. You can look up and order. But I just feel, everything on the menu is not for everyone. Everyone likes, maybe if you're ordering for your brother, you don't want pink macarons. You're ordering for your sister, you want some flowers, you want some strawberries. So, you can always call up and discuss your little small customizations, which I feel is like a very nice gesture, to fulfill someone's order. Yeah. And just, we have a number, you can call, coordinate someone very polite person would answer that call. Generally, that's me. And we take your order, and we have dedicated delivery slots to go out so that things are in system. And if you're looking for something extraordinary and customized, we require some time, but generally things are available with us so that you can order right away.
Okay. So do you have are you a one-woman army, or do you have a team of interns working under you?
Okay, so I take no pride to work alone. Some people they feel like sorry, but they feel like heroic that they are managing everything by themselves. But I take no pride. I think I'm a good chef, but to become an entrepreneur, it's really important for me to let go of many things, hire people who are whom we can train, develop, and probably, if they are good at something, give them those opportunities they keep on doing. Right. So I really believe in that. The reason I am here doing a podcast with you today because my team is already managing orders right now. Yeah. So we are a team of 6 right now.
Oh, wow.
And if we have people join us as interns, because I feel that a lot of people in Delhi do not have the classical French knowledge, so I don't really take people. We take people as interns. If you are with us for 6 months, then we'll probably take you further for promotions and jobs, etc. So that is how it is.
Okay. So, can you give me a virtual tour of your kitchen?
Okay. So it's very systematic. If you start from the right of our layout. Right is dedicated to the reception, where we have from where all raw material, eggs, chocolate, cream, etc. We receive them. We remove the external packaging. Yeah. That is where is our washing area as well. Then you come inside the kitchen. We have the hot place, which is our oven and our mise en place tables. We have 2 dedicated tables for mise en place, where we have kept our microwave, induction, KitchenAid, etc. Then we have our stock fridge. Then we have our stock freezer. Then you go ahead from that area. We have our dispatch freezer. We have our dispatch table. And packaging area, then finally the how I say, what was the last? The pickup spot,
Okay.
on the extreme left. So
Okay.
and like I really, and my team also knows that pickup वाली जगह से सामान नहीं आएगा और जहाँ से रिसीव होता है वहाँ से डिस्पैच नहीं होगा. So we have it like a flow. I literally followed all the French kitchens I have gone to and replicated it here.
Yeah.
So there is a proper system. It's like it doesn't come back once it starts. So that's the flow of the kitchen.
I find you very organized, and obviously your work and your kitchen sounds very organized.
You're
too.
more than welcome to visit us
I
someday.
am going to. And I was going through your menu and I was really amazed at the variety of products you offer. There are cakes, pastries, macarons, financiers, tarts, and even some beverages and savory items. So how did you decide what all products to have on your menu and how do you go about pricing them?
Okay, so like keep playing to my strengths. Pastries had to be there. I am a trained pastry chef, so
Yeah.
we have kept all things sweets. But then you need to have some savories too, and vinogre as well because people like to snack, and that is how the menu is. But mainly, I love making cakes. And French cakes, they Tuileries menu is not like fondant cakes or buttercream cakes, no offense, but we are doing proper French cakes, which are entremets or mousse cakes, which are stunning to look at and have a proper visual appeal to them. So that's about it. See, the quality or the ingredients that go behind making such products is already high. Like we pay a good price to source them, hence
Yeah.
the price. But they are priced right.
Okay.
When people ask me why are your, I can get a 1 kg cake for $1,000, but at your shop I don't get even a half kg for $1,000. So I बहुत सस्ता और बढ़िया एक ही दुकान पे नहीं मिलेगा.
सही बात है.
You don't know what you are eating
Right.
for that in that price, and you don't know what you're getting this at our price. So till the time the customer is not aware of what crap they are eating, they'll never understand our quality.
Yeah.
But I think we are priced right. It would sound high to someone for a 1 kg cake. We charge 2,000 rupees, for example, but it's priced right. We are there are no cheap products. I don't use premixes. I don't use anything ready-made. Everything is made in-house, including the purees and everything. We use the best of chocolate. We use the best of creams. We use best of equipments to make them. So
Yeah.
I think it's priced right. If the
Okay.
customer is aware of what he is getting, I think he should consider himself lucky that he is getting a European product in Delhi.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about the price, what's an average order value?
See, initially we didn't have the concept of half kg cakes because half kg cakes are not a European concept. You do it by person, like
Okay.
3-person, 4-person, 8-person. So I started with 1 kg cakes, but then during lockdown I knew no one is going to consume a big cake, so we started to have a half kg also. So average order can somewhere between be 1,000 to 1,500 depending upon like if they're taking a half kg cake. But I believe in cross selling and upselling. If someone comes to me for just half kg, I always tell them, would you like to add a box of macaron to your order? Would you
Yeah.
like to add some quiches to your order?
Yeah.
They can politely decline, but then as to get more sales, I always give them more chota options so that
Right.
we have a decent 1,000 से 1,500 2,000 तक का order each time we take an order.
Right. What's the most celebrated dish in your patisserie?
Okay, so if you have to order today, I would say go for our Belgian chocolate and hazelnut cake. It's an amazing cake. It's a very balanced cake. It's neither too sweet nor too bitter. And best thing about the cake is it's available in a small portion, in a half kg, big. Or if you want, we can even make 10 kgs of it for you. It's literally eating your dreams. It's so yummy.
I'm going to taste that.
Most welcome.
So let's have a business dive in. Before starting, I discussed with you whether you would be comfortable discussing figures, and you were. So, what's the marketing strategy that you follow to stand out in the market?
Okay, so I feel that marketing strategies are they keep on changing. So the one which works for you today might not work tomorrow. But right now, I feel because people are so addicted to their smartphones and everybody checks out social media like a daily dose of, like people need a daily dose of what's happening around them. So the best strategy is, I would say, to be online rather than offline.
Yeah.
So right now, mediums like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, etc., are working well for us. So you should be there, provide a unique content every day. I feel that content is the real currency.
Yeah.
So you have to plan your content in such a way that you are always visible to the audience and probably make them addicted to come back to you. And play your content in such a way that people are glued to you, they come back to you again and again. And I feel that because social media is so powerful, if you post something today, the person might not require a cake from us like right now, but
Yeah.
he has seen us for every day since the morning he wakes up. He sees our story, he sees our post, he sees us in sponsored, he sees us on Facebook ads, everything. Maybe 6 months from now, uske papa ka birthday,
Yeah.
uska birthday, he's definitely going to order to us because we were visibly available each day. So marketing strategy, I'm not saying that this will work with us next year also, or some, it will keep on changing. But right now, people who are starting off or are, thinking of selling things via Cloud Kitchen, someone who has a similar model like me, I would say be available, be visible, be regular.
Right. Yes. And there are actually a lot of home bakeries or bakeries available online that those are visible online on Instagram and Facebook. What do you think is your USP that sets you apart from them?
I never check them. I just do my own thing.
You're just doing your own thing.
I just do my own thing. See, again, it goes back to what's your vision, like the big vision, the big picture. So if you, I can't sleep if we don't hit, like our everyday target. I'm a super greedy person. I walk into my kitchen and I don't know, people would think I'm silly, but I walk into my kitchen, but for 3-4 seconds, I already imagine my table is filled with dispatches. My list is full, and then I enter my kitchen with a very mind of selling things. It's one thing to be a chef and another thing to be a businessman. You have to be super optimistic, super patient, and super hopeful that things are gonna work for you. Even Virat, when he starts, every day he starts with 1, 2, and eventually 100. So you just have to wait for your 100 each day. Right. So that's what it is. Just be hopeful, be available, and be polite. Like a lot of people on Instagram or somewhere, why I think they are lacking, I think they are not very professional in their approach. They one thing that I feel very bad with some home bakeries and some people is it's again my point of view that they don't separate themselves from the brand.
Okay.
Everything is about them as an individual. Nobody cares about your bad customer experience. You don't have to write that down. You just have to work, for your next experience to be better. So, a lot of time, I feel that why people are not able to do so well is because they are so involved in a very individual approach. They don't think of their brand as a business or a big company that can be one day. Even Tulrees is really into initial stages. But I always feel that, even if Kamal is not there, Tulrees will be there. So if that is what you're saying, you portray your brand in a brand. Like you don't know the owner of Lopera or Big Chill, but you still know Lopera and Big Chill. That is what the vision is.
Right.
We should work in that favor. So a lot of small bakeries or small things, I would just say, don't put your individual each day experiences online. That's not the content you should be putting on. You should focus on more, like the client experience, the what your brand has to offer, etc., rather than the small narrow point of view.
Right. So did you have a tough time or with a client of yours that, or a bad experience with your client, and how did you tackle them?
See, if there is a possibility of things to go wrong, they can go wrong. They
Yeah.
would go wrong. So, like, bad experiences happen.
Hmm.
Bad feedbacks also come. Bad deliveries also happen. Mistakes are happening. Nobody is perfect.
Yeah.
So, having said that, just pick up yourself, see what you could do better, how you can, like enhance that customer so that he comes back to you, doesn't run away, and whatever was the learning. For example, if you had a spillage during the transit, be polite enough, provide them another product, replacement de do. If not, give
Right.
them refund. Like,
Yeah.
be very practical about it. किसी को कुछ पसंद नहीं आया, ask them to give it back to you so you can taste, see what was wrong. Was it
Right.
genuinely wrong, or it was, just the person wanted a
Yeah.
extra something? If it was genuinely wrong, something was not okay, give them a replacement or refund. So, bad things happen. But
Yeah.
you just have to pick yourself up and be more practical how to tackle. And we have very clear replacement, refund policies and how to tackle all of these things. And it's very, like, initially I would feel bad, but now I know, ki, if something
Yeah.
can go bad, it would go bad. So I don't
Yeah.
really put too much brain into it and do my next thing.
Yeah, I actually liked how you tackle the situation, and I think you must be having a lot of positive feedbacks around your bakery.
That's like touch wood. We are, because I don't have a very very huge menu. I have 10 things, and we those 10 things are perfect.
Yeah.
We don't have like a 50-pager menu. We have a limited menu, but I know whatever we have put out is already so delicious, already so yummy. Already, like 6 years of experience recipes I'm putting. So I know product wise things will not go wrong unless, there is a spillage issue or something like that in the transit. So, or something like that. So I'm pretty confident about the taste part of our product because it's super yummy. My menu is really yummy. So I am super confident about the taste part.
Yeah.
But still things happen, and you should just like focus on next thing and not worry about ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. So, but like we have been very fortunate in the feedback part. People come up with the good feedback. Because like the kind of products we are offering are already not available here, so people have not eaten the kind of cakes that we are offering at Tuileries. I have worked in 5 stars and I know that the quality, sorry to say, even in 5 stars is really bad. Not to name any, but like even at a big 5 star or 7 star you go to, people are still using compound, people are still using premixes, and it's as bad as any small bakery you would have eaten. So I know that taste feedback is always going to come nice to us because we are already providing a very quality product, premium product to our clients.
And you were talking about the daily target. So how many orders do you fulfill in a good month?
In a good one, see, every day we start with 0. We start with 0, just like any cricketer who enters the field. We start with 0, but like a good day or a bad day, see, we are able to do a monthly sale of 3 to 4 lakhs.
Okay.
It's like
Okay.
if it's, I'm talking about a good month. Bad months can be bad, like summers are coming, so it's gonna be bad. But we serve Valentine's Day, Diwali, and Christmas, and before that, what?
Right.
Rakhi, and also those are like our good months for any pastry shop. Those are like the months that shoot up. So that's the number if you ask me. But each day is a struggle when you each day you start, but that's
Yeah.
about the number.
And like you started your bakery in 2018 or 19?
19.
19. So how long did it take you to break even?
Break even. I don't like. I'm not an expert with a break even, but I don't have my research on that. But we like. See, initially my parents helped me to put up the money. If you ask about the setup cost of whatever cloud kitchen we have with all the equipment, it's around 12 to 15 lakhs easily if you
Okay.
are planning to have a professional setup.
Hmm.
And break even, I don't know if we have even received break even, because if your sales are going up, so are your expenses.
Right. Yes.
So that's about it, but it's going well. We are I think we are financially sound. We
Okay.
are after initial push from my parents, I don't think I've asked for more funds from them. So I think if you call that break even, we were broke even in 2019.
Okay.
So because I don't have like a financial chart, so I can
Yeah.
say that I haven't asked for more funds since the setup. So
Okay.
it, like, the business has provided funds to buy more equipments, more ingredients, more staff fees, marketing fees. It comes out of business.
Okay. So talking about expenses and stuff, what's your biggest expense in Tuileries?
See, see, a lot of the major chunk of our revenue goes to the business again when we have to buy monthly chocolates, monthly raw material. So that's a fix that, every month we are like, raw material has to be bought. So business buys that for us. And then there is staff salary. Then there is paying our CA and the paperwork that goes behind it. I even give rent to my parents. So
Okay.
my parents. So when I knew that I have to give something back. So I'm paying rent also to my parents. And so, it's divided into sections, but it works out. So raw material, staff salary, rent, your CAs that you're helping, your delivery apps that you pay for, your marketing.
Yeah.
Then that's it. I don't have any money left for myself.
Exactly. I was about to ask you that. Are you even left with any money after the expenses?
See, I am right now in a mind frame that I want to put everything back. So, I am not even enthusiastic to buy anything for myself. If I have to buy, I'll buy a freezer. I'll buy more equipment. So that is what gives me more joy rather than, spending on movies or spending on small things here and there. So that's about the expense part of it. But as you grow, so does your expense. There is
True.
I think that's the indication of the growth of the business if your expenses are also growing.
Right.
Because when I started out, I didn't have rent, salaries, deliveries, or marketing to pay, but now I have. So I think I take pride that we are equally spending as much.
Yeah, and I think the best type of investment that you can do is to invest in your own business.
Exactly,
because
yeah.
that's how it will grow, and eventually you'll have the result that you'll see by investing in your own business that you won't see in going to movies or parties or something other things.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, life goes on. I'm not saying you should not enjoy or not take time off, but that is how I am. I get joy by buying more things for my business. And a lot of young girls who are listening to this, you might have societal pressure to get married off at a certain age, or you're not be earning. Please don't fall into that. Be financially sound, be career wise sound, make something out of yourself, and all of this marriage and all will fall into place. There is no race happening, just exactly.
Yes. I also wanted to ask you about the delivery and packaging. How do you handle that?
Okay, so packaging, again, it was part of our setup cost because we had designed our boxes. I was very adamant with the kind of image we'll send out to the clients. So we had our initial investment in proper cake boxes, proper branding ribbons, proper handbags. So that was part of our, if you ask me the number, all of this, no, in a minimum quantity, 1,000 pieces or 2,000 pieces, whatever you get printed will be around under 2 lakhs. You can manage all that proper bulk packaging. So that is the number part of it. Delivery, initially, we were like, we started post-COVID, so people would pick up. But right now we are
Okay.
living in a scenario where everybody wants things delivered to their doorstep. So I tried couple of third parties to send out my things. Right now I have a trusted delivery partner. It's Pidge, if you know.
Which, okay.
Yeah, so we have our monthly subscription with them, and it's very convenient. We send out the schedule to them like a couple of hours prior, and our deliveries are tackled. And we have successfully even sent proper these French cakes to Sona Road also.
Oh, okay.
Faridabad, Road. I sometimes feel that I'm super weak, but my cakes are still strong. They survive the road and they go. So that's about the deliveries. So you can't manage things on your own. Just find proper channels. If they're asking for a certain money for the quality they give you, please go ahead and spend that money and receive the peace of mind that you can get in return. Because if I have to send out deliveries, I can only do 3 to 4. But I know on a good weekend day, we are sending even more than 20 deliveries out. It's because of these trusted delivery partners that we have.
Are you also there on Zomato and Swiggy?
On Zomato, yes, not on Swiggy.
Okay. And what are your future plans for Tulleries?
So the future plan for Tulleries is we really we are happy with our cloud kitchen, but we are focusing on more of a cafe or a display model where people can walk in and pick up their stuff. Happy with cloud kitchen because I know people would still love to have things delivered to their doorstep, but having a display adds another avenue of sales. Walk-in sales are also good. So that is the next step. And I don't know if I covered this before. I literally close my eyes every night and I imagine Delhi ka map and I see Tulleries written everywhere. So eventually, to have at least some chain stores in like coming 5 years, if I'm being realistic, or 10 years, I don't know. That's the future of the brand, that, to be there. But right now, in this scenario, Cloud Kitchen is working, but we do plan to go ahead and have like a seating cafe and, that's like brick and mortar will come back, I think. I hope it does.
Yeah, I feel so too.
Know?
Have you ever thought of partnering with other cafes and displaying your products over there?
I don't know. I don't think people will get me.
No?
No, I don't. I can if you want to buy something, probably we can provide you, but I don't want to partner because I'm, I don't know, so far if you agree, I'm very opinionated and I have things set in my mind. I'll probably do things at my pace and reach wherever I want to reach. But not really partner with someone because every brand has its own values and vision and principles they want to follow. So if someone is matching with our philosophy, yes, but it's very difficult to have a like-minded partner who is thinking the way I'm thinking. So maybe no.
All right. Okay. So tell me about one thing that this journey of yours has taught you. A thing that maybe keeps you motivated or a learning that helps you make important decisions around your business.
See, it's maybe out of context, but sometimes I get calls or I'm asked from people ki I am working in my job and I want to pursue baking and something like this, and I saw your story, you worked in a corporate, now you are here. So I just tell them, you baking is your hobby or you're just bored of your job and you can't take what your team members are putting you through and you're pathetic there that you want to switch. Because if you want to jump to the baking part, boss, it is equally tiring, equally will drain you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, everything. So you should always people who are thinking or are in baking, they should ask themselves, is it just a hobby or you think that you can make this as your livelihood? If you can make this your livelihood, then this is equally tough, equally requires you to be focused and be there.
What's the one thing that you have learned throughout your journey that has helped you in your business and helps you in making important decisions around your business?
Okay, so I think it's like to stay optimistic, to stay hopeful. Just like never lose faith, never lose like like believe in your product, believe in your brand, and just know that every day I'm gonna bring out something nice and better.
Kamal, before starting the interview, you were telling us about your summer menu. So can you please tell our listeners more about it?
Okay, so as summers are here, sadly it's a very bad time for pastries, but we have a very exciting menu for summer. We have tried to bring as much fresh fruits which are available in our products. So we are doing mango cakes, mango entremets with mousse, mango with cheesecake and everything. And we have some really exciting flavors like tropical cheesecake. We have citrus cakes, mango cakes, and everything refreshing is right now available on the menu. So I'm super excited for that.
Wow, I want to try that too. Yep. A success tip or mantra that you would like to give to our listeners who are preparing to start their own business around baking?
Patience, patience, patience.
Okay. All right. So, if our listeners need to reach out to you, or perhaps for orders, business query, or guidance, what would be the best way to about it?
You can reach out to our Instagram or our phone number, which is also available on our Instagram, 9999837015, and someone will always be there to answer the queries. If you want to talk directly with me, even that can be done via this number.
Okay. So we were in a candid conversation with Kamal Arora, the founder and head chef of Chilleries Patisserie Delhi. You can reach out to her over Instagram or Facebook or the number that she just provided. Don't forget to try her Belgian chocolate and hazelnut cake and something out of her summer menu. Once again, thank you, Kamal, for taking out time and joining us for this episode. It has been a fun and insightful session, and I'm sure our listeners would have gained a lot of knowledge, and it would have kindled passion and enthusiasm in their career and